maybe 2 or 3 summers ago.
We have a woman that's Asian. She made some really nice hat. Some good handle on those. The toner was this.
Okay, what you're viewing is a footage from Shadow's retirement. We're going to kind of walk you through the step-by-step process. And initially, our interest was to give Malik some attention prior to the retirement so that he wasn't as excitable. So what you're seeing is board member Nancy Gibson, who did bottle feed Shadow Malik, as well as Wolf Care staff member Jen Westland interacting and greeting with Malik. Staff member Jess Edberg comes into the enclosure, and she was conducting the program, the What's for Dinner program that was occurred on the evening of Shadow's retirement. We chose to use the What's for Dinner program as the opportunity to keep the main pack occupied on Shadow's first night out of the exhibit by providing a roadkill deer, and Jess was going to be doing the public program, helping to interpret the transitional move. So prior to Shadow being retired, Jess had an opportunity to come into the enclosure and interact with Malik. Prior to Shadow's introduction, we decided to give Malik a roadkill deer, or illicit deer torso, not without any legs, so there wasn't a lot of meat on it, but enough for 2 wolves, and that we gave it to Malik about 15 minutes prior to Shadow's transition into retirement, or Shadow's move, so that Malik had an opportunity to get a little bit of food and kind of fill himself up, and again, just hoping to give a distraction for the initial reintroduction of these 2 males. Okay, the plan began with the entire pack being drawn into the pack holding area, and the gates were opened, and we see 5 wolves there going into holding. Shadow readily came in, so it really wasn't a problem, and he quickly was moved into the vestibule. This was an area that we can isolate out individual wolves, and the goal was to get Shadow separated out so that we could move him in retirement and get the rest of the pack back out into the exhibit. So we didn't want to hold Shadow too long, because you can see being separated into a smaller area makes animals a little bit nervous. He is greeting Nancy Gibson there, and kind of excited to see her. So as soon as we could, we got the wolves back. The wolves back in the exhibit pack, and Shadow kind of moved over, and you're seeing here kind of the chute system where we're opening up the gates to move Shadow into the vestibule of retirement. And what we're kind of trying to watch for is we're giving an opportunity to go from the pack holding area into the vestibule adjacent to the retired enclosure. And we're wanting to watch, before we did the introduction, we're wanting to watch what Shadow Malik's behavior was to each other through the fence. So what you're seeing is their first meeting. Shadow's tail's up a little high, and Malik's is down low, kind of wagging, so that's a real good sign. Again, Shadow has been in the retired enclosure before. We used to let all the wolves in there, and so that was something that he was familiar with. We did let him go back and forth. Actually, he only went back and forth once, back over to the other pack, and then came back over to Malik's in retirement. At that point, I felt like the contact was pretty calm. We have a nose-to-nose there, nose-to-nose greeting. And again, Malik's showing a little submissive ear postures, tails down. Does show a little bit of hackles, which we thought was kind of interesting. Although Malik's hair is shedding a little bit differently, so sometimes we misinterpret hackles with just hair that's a little bit out of normal process. But we felt that the face-to-face greeting was good. And within minutes, we saw a pawing there, Shadow to get in. And so we were, again, watching the ear postures. I was making sure that Shadow wasn't in a very intent mode, just kind of by touching him, just getting him to look at me and realize that he's not fixated on Malik. And again, we didn't want him too upset about wanting to paw and get out of that area. He doesn't like being confined in small areas, so we let him in. And you can see a little bit of a standoff there. But Shadow goes about his business kind of investigating. Malik's kind of sniffing him. Malik, this is now hackles on Malik, and so we're kind of watching that, a little bit of a circling. And otherwise, we felt that it was very smooth. There were really no issues. It really helped to have Nancy there, who bottle fed both of them, so it was definitely a real strong social connection for him. You see Shadow Malik doing some following behavior, not uncommon. Certainly Shadow spending most of his time investigating. He hasn't been in the retired pen really for a long time, probably I would say June, almost a year ago. That was probably the last time that we really used it. After that we started working on the den, doing the concrete work for the den, and so the wolves didn't have access to it during that time. And then Malik was retired in November, so it was a real it's been a length of time since he's really had a chance to investigate, so he's going to check out the whole area. We did see him do a lot of scent marking, raised leg urination, marking items and scraping the ground, but mostly investigation. Again, very calm, not stressed at all, and as a matter of fact, as we'll talk about a little later, the main pack had very little reaction. Very little interest. They went about feeding and had no problems whatsoever with the feeding program. And we'll show that video towards the end once we kind of finish up here with Shadow Malik. What do you think? What have we done to your world?
Talk to him.
And you're not here next Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to switch a day so you can swap?
I'm gonna look at my schedule. Thursday's the 1st, isn't it? Friday night.
Right.
Look. I'll talk to him.
For right now, it's just going to be me going in here with these guys to figure to give Shadow some. I mean, you could come in, but I'm not going to start anybody for
Push anything.
a couple of weeks. Look at that, Shadow. Give me the hill.
No, if you just let us brush him.
What?
If you just let us brush him while it's still still.
Oh, I think so.
The planets would be aligned.
You might get your first good night's sleep you've had in a long time. I got sick of typing tables. Look at that. As you can see from the video, Shadow had a pretty relaxing time after maybe about an hour investigation and kind of interacting he was able to relax on top of the den, and staff did stay with him all evening to make sure that there wasn't any anxiety or any issues that arose. And because the pack wasn't very focused on him, there wasn't a lot of activity from the main pack. They fed on their beaver and they kind of slept most of the night. And the fact that we saw very little response from the pack makes us seem to indicate that, you know, there was probably weakening going on a lot longer than we anticipated. And certainly the pack may have just kind of moved on without him, and that seems to be the issue. The only pack member that seems to be having any issues is Grizzer, and Grizzer's just being a little bit more reserved than usual, and part of it is because, again, Aiden and Denali are trying for status. Aiden's been doing a lot of posturing and showing a lot of status, and certainly that's a little bit of conflict. Anytime there's a lack of clear, definitive order, you know, wolves are going to get a little apprehensive about that, and that was the case. What you're seeing now is the pack coming out for the feeding. We did use the medical pen, which was a much smaller enclosure. We didn't want them over in the pack holding area near shadow, so we kept them out in the medical pen. And you can see the pack's pretty well focused on the deer carcass. No interest whatsoever in going over towards shadow, and obviously by now shadow's been in retirement probably about an hour at the point when this deer was being fed. And you see some pretty good feeding behavior, and so that's kind of what we'll leave you with, is viewing the rest of this feeding behavior. And I'm hoping to put together a podcast that kind of explains a little more of the rationale and kind of explains some of the more details that we saw post-retirement, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to get that done here in the next week. But again, I appreciate your support, and thanks for the emails concerning Shadow's retirement. He is doing well. As I said earlier, the pack is going to take a little time to figure out who's the dominant male. It is Maya's. Maya's got a lot to do with it. You know, who she chooses to pair bond with. At this point, could be any one of the three of them. Grizzer is less reluctant to really engage in conflict with Aiden and Denali. So as Aiden and Denali, and Aiden is equally testing as Denali is and showing postures and status, Grizzer's kind of trying to stay out of it. So I think Grizzer likes rank number 2, and he may very well possibly keep that rank and just kind of see how things pay out. So like I say, you're seeing a very not aggressive, but a very active feeding program. Aiden and Denali getting to the deer first and keeping a good handle on the deer. They're threat displaying, and Maya does come over to try to eat and get the threat display from Denali. She continues to mark around the carcass and does feed a little bit later. Grizzer actually holds off and waits before he gets a chance to eat the deer. So thanks for watching, and again, just want to reiterate, this is our 25th anniversary, and so we have a membership goal of 2,500 members by the end of the year. So we're always happy to get new members to help support the wolf care program and wolf education here at this center as well as abroad. We are the International Wolf Center, so we do a lot of educational programs on site through our magazine, through outreach programs, and just recently finished an ethology class who was very helpful in trying to help decipher the remaining exhibit pack behavior. And we appreciate those folks from all over the U.S., Canada, as well as a representative from the UK and from Belgium. So we're very happy to have that group just finish with us today. So thanks for watching.